look ahead to week number 5. Like Wade mentioned, we looked at all the SEC games in last night's show, and now we're going to go to a more national. So let's go now to the first game here. We are going to start with the Big 12. It's a top 25 battle between number 20 Oklahoma State and number 23 Kansas State. Both teams are looking to bounce back, like I just mentioned. Oklahoma State just losing 22-19 to Utah, and Kansas State losing pretty badly to BYU. So do you have the Pokes or the Wildcats bouncing back in this matchup?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Kansas State is the home favorite by 5 still. But I think it's a tough place to play. Give me Kansas State. I think they shake it off. Just a wacky trip out west. I think they shake it off.
Yeah, I think this is just going to come down to environment. If this was at Oklahoma State, I'd probably go with them. But give me Kansas State in this one. I think that as bad as they look, they're going to bounce back. Avery Johnson had himself a rough game against that BYU defense. BYU's defense was able to get after it. This will probably be another defensive game that both teams will just have to score a touchdown when they can, because there's probably going to be a lot of field goals scored in this one. Two really good defenses that we've seen in the Big 12. So I'm going to go with Kansas State. Though I do think that Oklahoma State will cover that 5.5 that you mentioned. I think that the Pokes and Mike Gundy on the road will be able to keep this close, make it a field goal game. But I am still going to go with Kansas State. Now let's go on to another one, Independent versus an ACC school. We saw this matchup last year at Louisville, and Louisville dominated the Fighting Irish last season. In Louisville, we haven't really talked about this team. They are quietly undefeated. They just beat a Georgia Tech team that we had talked about a couple of weeks ago. You know, they were beating Florida State, but Georgia Tech falling back to earth, losing to Syracuse and now Louisville. But Louisville undefeated, number 15 in the country. Number 16, Notre Dame. Notre Dame has had a bumpy road. They beat Texas A&M, then they lost to Northern Illinois in week number 2, and then they were able to bounce back with a win beating Purdue, and then the MAC with Miami of Ohio, they had another trouble with them. So Notre Dame, I think their athletic director, they're going to be like, we ain't playing nobody else from the MAC. If we have Bowling Green next season, cancel it. We're not playing any more MAC teams. But Louisville, Notre Dame, in South Bend, who are you rolling with in this matchup?
I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I think that this is still a very good football team. And Louisville, I mean, I don't know. We saw them win this last year, but I just think it's different on the road. So give me Notre Dame in this one. I think it's going to be kind of lower scoring. Notre Dame's going to make you play their brand of football. It's going to be like 23-17.
And Riley Leonard got his first passing touchdown of the season against Miami, Ohio. So we'll see if he gets a couple of more against Louisville. He's going to have to if they want to beat Louisville. But this is a get-back game for Notre Dame. I think that they ended up winning this one. It is going to be close. Louisville is a talented team. You look at the ACC, it's looking like it's going to be Miami and Clemson in the ACC championship and pretty much everybody else. So this is a big game for both teams. Notre Dame still in the college football playoff discussion. But if another loss, they would be knocked out of that pretty much instantly. So this is a big game for both the Cards and the Fighting Irish, but I'm going to go with Notre Dame at home to win this game. Now let's go on to a game that we talked about last night, but let's go ahead and bring it up again. It's the SEC game of the week, number 2 Georgia at number 4 Alabama, like I mentioned on last night's show. Both of these teams are coming off of the bye week, so both of them will be fresh. Two of the most talented quarterbacks that you're ever going to see in college football square off of Carson Beck and Jalen Milroe. So I'm guessing you're going to go with Georgia because that's who you went with last night. So you're going to go with the Dogs, or did you sleep on it and go with the Crimson Tide?
No sleep thoughts. Sticking with Georgia. Look, and I've doubted Georgia more than anybody in the country. And I think this team gets it done. Now, I'm not going to waver off my Texas-Georgia pick that's coming up in a couple weeks, but I think that Georgia gets it done, setting up an undefeated showdown in Austin in just a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that Texas-Georgia game, I think I'm more excited for that one than this one because that's going to be real good. Two high-powered offenses and defenses, too. Yeah, so I'm going to go with Alabama. Like you, really getting a good night's sleep. Didn't change my mind on that one. I mean, Georgia's a very talented team to walk into this environment, and Georgia in the past has struggled with Alabama. I know that Nick Saban isn't there, but Jalen Milroe, this defense had some problems stopping him in the SEC championship game, and I still have some question marks about this Georgia offense. Like, oh, who scored a touchdown? Was it Jamar?
55-yard Jamar Chase touchdown.
All right, that'll make Chet happy. There
41
you go,
minutes.
Joe
41
Burrow
minutes.
getting on the board there. So Georgia, their offense, I still need to see more of it. Last time we saw them only 13 points against a Kentucky team that isn't too good. So I do think that this is going to be a close, low-scoring game, two talented defenses, but give me the Crimson Tide just to be different. I know that a lot of people are going to be picking Georgia, but I'm still on the train that Alabama isn't dead yet. So give me Kalen DeBoer's boys with the Tide taking down the Dogs. And whoever wins this one will have a case to be the number one team. But Texas will probably just drill Mississippi State 65-0 this week, and they won't have anything to say about it. So let's go on now to our final game here in the Big Ten. Number 19, Illinois at number 9, Penn State. These two teams are undefeated, and the last time that we saw these two teams play was a 9 overtime game, and that's why you see these rules. Whenever you get into the third overtime, you get into a 2-point off. So who knows what the heck we're going to get from this game, but are you going to go with an upset with Illinois or go with Penn State at night?
I like what Illinois has shown me, but I'm going to go with Penn State. I think this team is going to be pretty damn hard to beat at home, especially at night. That place is going to be rocking. I just don't know that Illinois has the offense to hold in this one. Not that either team's going to score a lot of points, though. I think the winner in this one scores under 25.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Penn State, too. Illinois has really been consistent football team, but Penn State's defense will be able to limit Luke Altmaier's big plays because Nebraska wasn't able to do that. And Drew Rowler, he's been consistent. Going off of Kent State, you can't really take away from that because Kent State's one of the worst teams in the country this season. So not much you can take away from that game. Their defense looked good, but Kent State's offense can't score at all. But I am going to go with Penn State, but I wouldn't be shocked if Illinois makes this a 4-quarter battle because Brett Bielema just knows how to coach up his football team for big games like this. And Illinois has proved it in the past that they can keep it close to Penn State. So I'm going to go with Penn State. But I think that Illinois makes Penn State fans and Jacob especially sweat because he's probably thinking, all right, this is Illinois. We're just going to blow them out. Let's get on to the next week. But Penn State will ultimately win this game.